Hi everyone, I'm Jay.
I'm Colin.
And I'm Matt.
And this is Star Wars Conversations.
Cool.
Hey!
Hey!
You had
What a
three
wonderful
names at the
victory.
beginning there, right? A little bit different. So who have we got? So obviously it's me and Colin as always. And
Yeah.
today,
Yeah.
You're joined by Matt Hayday. I am part of another podcast, Straight Outta Popcorn. We do a movie podcast. You can find us on the iTunes and the Spotify's and the usual places you find it. We do it from a slightly different point of view, from a sort of like a rock music industry point of view, because my wife is a music publicist, and Harris, who I do it with as well, is also a publicist.
And you're a metal god.
And I'm something of a demigod. Now, I've like sung in bands and worked with bands and
Slipknot. Work with.
yeah,
Oh,
I went
nice.
with Slipknot at one point.
I've met them.
I do lots of things. I was a radio DJ for Total Rock Radio as well for a stint, and work a lot of backstage at shows, doing artist liaison stuff, making sure bands got everything they need, babysitting bands basically. is that part of the job?
Yeah.
But yeah, we do lots of stuff, and we talk about like what's going on in our lives. Basically, it's an excuse for us to get together and just catch up and have a laugh every week, and talk about movies, because we all love movies as well.
Yeah, definitely. So that's all out popcorn. There you go, everyone. So it won't be the usual bumbling effort to straight out of popcorn. See, bumbling already. It won't be the usual bumble through an episode, because we've got a pro with us.
Yes,
who's in the industry, right?
I don't know.
But he even admits it. He says yes when I said that. He's like, "Yeah, I'm a pro." So
I thought we were amateurs until I stepped in here and realised that I had to share like one earphone with Colin.
I have never claimed to be anything more than a
We're
mess.
sharing one set of earphones with an earpiece in each one of our ears, and we're kind of hunched over the microphone.
And we've got like an unedited YouTube version of this. Everyone will be able to see.
Look, I made the tea. What else can you bloody want?
It's a lovely.
Oh, look at that! He even gave him the Boba Fett mug.
Okay.
Look at that. That's love. That's love right there.
Camera. Of course, we're recording this, aren't we?
Yeah, I got my celebration mug.
But I'm something of a Star Wars fan as well. I wouldn't go to the length of being like a mega fan, because I'm sure there's a lot of things that you guys probably correct me on. But the reason why I'm here is because I just came back a couple of weeks ago from LA, where I got married. And
congratulations.
Cheers. And we had like this epic wedding, and then we hung out in LA for a couple of weeks, and we went to Disneyland to go and check out Galaxy's Edge.
That's a lovely thing to do for your honeymoon. I actually went to LA for my honeymoon as well, but there was no Galaxy's Edge at the time. So.
No, that's right. Well,
where did you stay? Were you at Santa Monica or anything like that?
No. We were in Altadena, which is like Pasadena.
Okay. Yeah,
just north of LA, downtown LA. We actually stayed at a friend's house whose back garden we actually got married in as well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was a rad wedding.
Yeah, because you can get married outdoors in the States.
That's right. Yeah, we even
lovely.
like our friend Dave. He got ordained as well. He got ordained online.
Cool.
And he can legally carry out weddings throughout the whole of America.
Excellent.
If he wants to.
That's mad, isn't it?
So he married us.
Oh, what a great thing.
Yeah, it was great.
As nice as your wedding sounds.
Yeah.
I'd much rather hear about what other stuff you did.
Yeah. This is the important part, because
I bet that was your best part of the honeymoon, wasn't it?
Of course it was. Yeah. Well, last year when we got engaged, like Em said, I want to get married out here. Like, let's do it like this time next year. And I did the maths. I was thinking, hold on a minute. This time next year, in Disneyland, Galaxy's Edge will be open, and we'll be able to do that, and we'll have Harley with us, so we'll have no excuse not to go to Disneyland. So Harley's my daughter, by the way, and she's a massive star.
Good name.
Well. Yeah, I brought her up right. And so it all came together. I love it when a plan comes together.
Wicked.
Yeah. So, right.
Tell us.
Galaxy. Let's tell you all about it. Okay, so
I want to know from the moment you walk in.
From the moment you walk in. Now, the really cool thing about it is that whichever way you go into that section of the park, you almost have to go through a concealed entrance. You have to like go through tunnels to get into it.
Okay.
And obviously, you're in Disneyland. Everything's bright and colourful. There's Disney characters walking around. There's happy music. You go through this tunnel, and it's like a complete and utter transformation. When you come out the other side, you're in a Star Wars location. All right, it's rad. That you look up, you look all the way around you. You cannot see the rest of Disneyland. Excellent. You're totally immersed in it. The sounds, it sounds like there's like shuttles taking off and flying over your head, and and there's like Star Wars type music sort of playing in the backgrounds and stuff. You know the sort of thing you would expect playing in a bar or a bazaar or something like that.
So rather than like in other parts of Disney, you'll hear like, you know, It's a Small World and stuff like that. So instead of having like bits of John Williams music playing, you'll have like maybe Fibbing Dan and Modal Nodes or something like that playing.
Exactly, yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's right. And you're in, it's Batuu. The name of the planet is called Batuu, and this is...
Which you know we're seeing in the new movie, right?
Well, I they'd be stupid not to, really.
I think they don't have to, because everyone's like, where's Batuu?
Exactly. Well, the other thing about this place is that it has a story, but they don't tell you this as you go in. There's nothing that actually explains any of this. It's only through, and I discovered this like the day after I'd been there.
Just to do with the consoles on the walls and stuff, right?
Well,
doing that where you're
consoles, but No. It's like the comic books. Okay, so they brought out some Galaxy's Edge comic books.
Don't I know?
Yeah, you read them, yeah?
I've read every.
He loves them.
The next day, I was in the other Disney park, California Adventure, and I picked up a couple of these comic books and was reading
California Adventure,
and explains the story behind it. Okay, which is basically that this is like an outpost on the outer rim where the Resistance are hiding out, and they've all sort of set up shop there, and they're trying to get supplies and trying to recruit more members to the Resistance and stuff. And at the same time, the First Order are there looking for them. Okay, so while you're in there, you see First Order like ships and troopers like walking around, and they're like wandering around and sort of like saying, "Hey, we're looking for Resistance spies, and we, you know, have you seen anyone by this description?" and all this sort of stuff. Okay, so there's that element to it. There's also the other couple of stories behind it is that as you walk through it and you get to the Millennium Falcon, which is like the centerpiece of the whole thing. Right. The reason why the Millennium Falcon is there and on display and like
it's because you're there.
It's because you're there, because you're there to pilot it. It turns out.
Oh really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. One of 6 roles on the Millennium Falcon, right? Like you can be a gunner, pilot, engineer, all that kind of stuff, right?
So this is the one ride that they had up and running when we were there. I'll talk about the other one in a minute, which wasn't open, but I can tell you all about. So the Smuggler's Run, the Millennium Falcon, by the way, is jaw-dropping.
Look happy.
Yeah, when you soon come around the corner, because like again, like wherever you approch it from, there is a reveal. You don't like. It
opens up.
Oh, well, there's the Millennium Falcon over there. I can see it in the distance. You just literally like turn a corner, and it's bam there.
Do they have a thing? Because I've noticed that people take photos, because obviously there's going to be loads of people there, but it's almost like they take turns to have a photo, because everyone's always getting a photo on their own and there's no one around. So have they got something set up like that, like a little photo area?
They do, yeah. But it's also such a massive thing that it's enormous.
Yeah.
But like it's never too busy around there, you know.
Right. Okay.
You can take a photo, and everyone. It's really cool. This is like typical Star Wars fandom. Everyone is really cool with each other.
Yeah.
You know, and if you're taking a photo, everyone will clear out the way, and then they'll wait their turn, and then they'll go up.
Awesome.
And, you know,
that's good.
Yeah, and it's just like the same kind of atmosphere at Star Wars Celebrations, where everyone's just walking around.
Have you been to any of those, Jay?
I've been to the 30th. That was the 30th anniversary one. You know, so
the vibe's the same. Everyone's walking around with the biggest smile on their face.
You know about the London one, right? I was on my honeymoon.
Yeah. and
we were there, weren't we, Matt?
We were there. Yeah, we were there, and it was ace.
Yeah.
So everyone's just sort of like on the same tip, you know. They're all big Star Wars fans, and everyone's just like smiling, nodding at each other, like, yeah, this is rad.
It looks like proper real.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's to scale, you know.
Yeah. Do you sort of feel like getting out a rag and like cleaning it? May not look like much Gower accounts kid.
Exactly. Yeah. So you get in the queue for the ride, and I got to admit that we skipped the queue because my daughter has autism, so they're really cool at Disneyland. They'll let you like basically book a time to go on a ride, and then when your time's up, you just go on it.
Right.
So you don't have to wait in the queue, but the queue itself, it's certainly very, very handy. But the queue itself takes you around like a docking bay.
You see Hondo and people like that, don't you?
Well, that's it. Yeah, on the way into the Millennium Falcon, there's like an area you all sort of gather in, and Hondo is up on a platform, like an animatronic of him. And he turns around and he's like, "Oh, we got another group. Great. Let's." And you see
it's a great animatronic, right?
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Super.
Some people think it's a guy in a costume, but it's totally not.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's very. Technologically advanced.
Pretty much. It looks amazing. Have you not watched the videos of it, Colin?
I haven't seen it.
Check out the videos. You watch it and you're like, wow, like you can't believe that they've done an animatronic that good. The way it moves and everything is excellent. It's not like the older Pirates of the Caribbean ones, you know. It's not like that
anymore. He's really cool at that, but he kind of explains to you that basically he is working with the Resistance to go and get supplies for him, you know, like weapons and coaxium and all this stuff. So he wants to send some people off on a run to go and pick this stuff up, and he's basically got ships coming in one by one, and he's filling them up with new smugglers to go out and get this stuff. And would you believe it? The next ship that's ready and waiting to take off is the Millennium Falcon.
What would you not be pissed off though if you turn up there? Like, oh no, the Falcon just went.
That's right.
Like, what? We've got this shit heap for
an
you.
A-wing for you.
Okay. God, damn that time slot.
So yeah, like you're board on the Millennium Falcon, and you go up into the like hallways, and it's so detailed.
So you feel like you're walking through the Falcon, like you see in a movie.
100%, yeah.
Right.
You go up like the main, like the.
You don't seem to like go up the main ramp though. Oh. It's like almost as if like they've got like a
docking
thing. Yeah, like you go through an airport like.
Yeah.
Like a J.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And you go straight on into it. But when you're in those corridors, they look exactly like the Millennium Falcon corridors.
Does it smell?
Does it smell?
Like wet Wookiee.
Well, actually, no. That's a good point.
How do you know what wet Wookiee smells like?
Yak hair, right? But not necessarily the smell of wet Wookiee. But have they made it have like smell like sort of a bit like greasy? You know what I mean? Like, does it smell like you're on? If you imagine walking onto, say, a ship, like if you've ever gone onto one of the Navy ships or something like that, have they done stuff like that to make you the smells of wherever you're walking around, even as you walk through Galaxy's Edge and you go through markets and stuff? Do you sort of get the smells of stuff?
you do when you're walking through the markets.
Right.
I didn't notice any particular sense on the Millennium Falcon, but it does look used. It does look like it's grubby and dirty in places and stuff. You know, it's well worn. Obviously, by this point, where in the timeline it's set after Last Jedi and before Rise.
Right. They also in the book, don't they? The new book that's just come out, I've read, which is very good.
Yeah. But you go into the like main room, you know, where the table is, the chest, like chest thing. What's it called?
I don't know.
It's called. Oh God! Now I do know the name of it. I can't remember.
Dejeric.
Yeah, Dejeric.
So you got the table there, and they, as you walk into that area, they assign you roles. So they give you a card, assigning you a role on the Millennium Falcon, and one of them is pilot. There's 2 pilots, and then there's 2 gunners, and then there's 2 engineers.
Right.
All right. And on the card, it kind of briefly explains what your role is. And pilot is obviously like you're going to fly the Millennium Falcon. One of them makes it go up and down, and the other one controls left and right, which is like a recipe for disaster.
If
as you can imagine,
flew like that, can you imagine? I bet you. Right? And also, what do they do when there's only one pilot?
Well, I know.
How did Ray
I only found this out afterwards, but like, what they do is they have autopilot for each of these roles if nobody's sitting in them. So apparently,
so that's how Ray flew it.
Like remotely controlling it from Batu, he can remotely control that part, which is like, well,
you know, he wasn't on the loo or anything at that time. Right?
Why couldn't he just come along? Exactly.
Yeah. But no, because in the movie, obviously, Ray flies it in The Force Awakens, right? So what was she doing?
It would be brilliant though if like there wasn't enough of you and that seat was empty. If Chewbacca did actually come along,
oh, that'd be great.
Just sit down, join you.
They just have a guy on standby,
just in case it's not very busy that day.
So you go into the cockpit, and again, it's like a wow moment when you walk in there. It's like holy shit.
And does it look like what you see in the movie? Like you look around, there's buttons up top.
Yeah, there's buttons everywhere.
Now, how does it compare to like? Because like Madame Tussauds, I've got one and things like that. So is it the best one you've seen?
Yes, it's better than that Madame Tussauds one.
Yeah.
You get sat down, strapped in. Hondo appears on the screen telling you like, okay, this is what you do, this is where we're going, which is basically on a run to another planet to go and steal some coaxium. You take off, and it's like Star Tours in a way. It's like a simulator. It feels very much like that, but obviously you've got the controls. The gunners have 3 buttons. One is to shoot up, one is to shoot straight, and one is to shoot down on each side. They're behind the pilots. And then at the back, you have the engineers. And again, they have 3 buttons that randomly flash, and you have to hit them
so
quick.
The gunners, can they aim and shoot themselves, or does one aim and the other one shoot?
Well, there's no.
And why are they not in the gunner seats?
They're both shooting, but there isn't any aiming as such. There's just sort of like there's just the 3 buttons, and you hit depending on if there's a.
Is it like they light up and you've got to hit them in time or something like that?
Well, kind of, yeah, because the TIE fighters are coming at you basically as you're taking off. They start attacking you immediately, and if you hit those buttons at the right time, then it will fire at that TIE fighter when it's in that position. But if you're getting hit and the ship takes damage, then the engineers have to fix it, and their buttons, if they push them at the right time, that will fix the problems. Otherwise, your ship starts getting fucked up.
Well, what if the pilots crash you?
Well, again, like it will hit the deck, but then it will
bounce.
The engineers will have to hit the buttons quick to get it to come back up in the air again.
So if you were just a bunch of clowns,
yes,
would this ride end very, very quickly?
Oh yeah.
Well, so it's like you queue up for like 3 hours. It's like you got destroyed. Oh man! Like...
I don't think there's any way for your ship to get destroyed, but it just makes it
because then the Falcon's dead in canon.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But what is the best bit of the ride is when you do get clear, you go into light speed, you hit the light, hit the light speed button, and it takes off, and that is like the shit your pants moment.
But do you feel it?
Yeah, you're just like, wow, this is it, man.
Okay, cool. Yeah, man.
Yeah, it is dope. And then you go off to another planet, and there's like a whole sort of like run around a sort of like a shipping bay.
Oh, cool. Wow.
Where you've got TIE fighters chasing after you and all these people shooting at you and stuff, and then you steal the coaxium and take off with it. But
so how long does the ride take?
Roughly about 10 minutes.
Okay, that's pretty good for a ride. Yeah. That's a good amount of time to have on a ride.
That's right. Yeah. That's it. And it is fun. I will say that like the interactive element, especially with the pilots, because I was a gunner.
Right.
The guys that were pilots were absolutely hopeless.
I think everyone would be hopeless.
Yeah.
You have to be talking the whole time.
Yeah, and it's
sure you did the right thing, right?
It's frustrating when any other ride you would just experience it, but this involves people actually doing stuff, and so it's almost
like you're missing stuff.
Yeah, so you feel like you're missing.
Things are going on outside the cockpit, but you're going red button, green button, red button, blue button.
Yeah. And to actually have a pilot there,
like
part of the story, who's piloting, and you're just in the crew because you're there as backup. That would have been better.
Well, because like when like Han and Chewie were flying it, right? Luke and Ben were just standing there watching.
Yeah,
right?
That's what I could do. I could do that. I could tell them the odds.
Never tell them the odds.
Every so often.
So, am I right?
Turn around and say, "You're not helping, Colin."
You just shut me down.
Yeah, you shut him off or shut him down. Am I right that I heard that they won't allow you as a visitor to wear any kind of costume if you go in?
Yeah, but that is well. There's another element to that. It's the same as any Disney park. You can't come to Disney parks dressed as Disney characters because kids will come up to you and want to have their picture taken. You
know what I would do, right?
I'd
wear boots and combats. I'd wear like a top with the waistcoat kind of jacket.
All right, yeah.
Right? And I'd like maybe like a scarf around it and kind of make myself look as Star Warsy as I can and be like, no, this is just what I wear.
Yeah.
This is how I dress.
But no, yeah. I mean, from a like protecting kids kind of way, you don't want to invite people who want children to speak to them.
But I have seen pictures of cosplayers on Instagram.
Well, that's probably something where they've arranged it in advance.
Can't really stop it completely, but they keep
the
close
eye. The best thing I had experience-wise was I did Secret Cinema when it was The Empire Strikes Back. And that was great because they advised you to dress up.
Everyone had to dress up. That was brilliant.
Did you do that?
Yes, I did.
You did. I made myself up as a bounty hunter. I had a mask and everything. Like I did, like I had like a jumpsuit, I had like a cape, bit of armor, I did a mask, had my gun. I was walking around with a gun. And, so because you had the light speed bit at the beginning of that, where you were in the big ship and you went up to Tatooine and that. And what I liked about that was they made it really hot in there, so you felt like you're on Tatooine and there was like people walking around, so, you know. And those Stormies there were really aggressive. They shoved my wife and she went flying. And I was, well, you shouldn't have got in their way. Yeah, and then like Han Solo came up to me. He's like, "Hey kid," and I was like, "There's a Rodian around here looking for you." He's like, "Great kid," and like gave me a packet of spice.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
So do you get interactions like with other than stormtroopers? Because if I was at Galaxy's Edge, I'd be like, "I want a view," And I'll be like, I'm the first order guy, you know.
Well,
I'll be like, what are you guys, man? Like, the resistance are over there. Go kill them. Right, you know?
Personally, I didn't have an interaction like that with anyone. The thing is like the way that they sold it originally when they were going to open this thing up, they said they were like, it's fully immersive. Like everybody there will be residents of Batu and they'll interact with you and all of this. But most of the people there that I saw and I spoke to were like trying to avoid interaction with the guests as much as possible.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was a bit weird. Really.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Move along.
Yeah,
and they were all the people who were like running the shops and sort of obviously security, you know, keeping an eye on the place.
Yeah.
All dressed as Star Wars security.
No, but like dressed in like as if they were residents of the planet, but they're just sort of standing around watching.
See, those guys, because if they're not Star Wars fan, they're like, God, right? But
yeah,
in a zone like that, you want everyone that works there to be a Star Wars fan, right?
Yeah,
like
that, and I didn't get that vibe. That's the thing, right?
Right.
And I think that's what they need. There is a cantina there. Yeah. Unfortunately, I didn't get into it, but my friends did, and they told me all about it.
You have to pre-book your drinks, right?
you have to. You have to pre-book, yeah. Because it's really small.
Yeah.
I don't know what the capacity is, but like
Harvey couldn't get you into that.
Apparently, it's pretty crammed for space in there.
Right.
They have a few booths, but most of it's standing space. And you get to go in there for half an hour at a time. The drinks they have on offer are all like weird and wonderful cocktails, which is ace. And they don't have a band playing. They have a DJ.
I've seen him.
DJ Rex.
I heard about this. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you remember the old Star Tours, the original Star Tours, there was a robot that flew the ship in Star Tours.
Yes.
Called Rex, Captain Rex, and it's the same robot from the original Star Tours. Because Star Tours now, if you go on it, has C-3PO.
Yes, I went on it when I was up there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it had Finn and all that lot pop up on the screen.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
So happy about that, Jay.
No, it was fine. And the good thing about it is there's 4 different Star Tours. If you go on it 4 times and you're lucky, you get one of the other ones. If you're unlucky, you end up with the same one, and then you're like, I've did this one already.
That's right. Yeah.
Because I think it's in different doors. They've got the different screens that play the different, whatever.
Well, the last time before this that I went to Disneyland, we had the Last Jedi one.
Right.
And it was just before Last Jedi had come out. And it was a bit rubbish.
Yeah, so mine was 2016. So I probably had the same one, I think. I can't remember what mine was.
What did they do in The Last Jedi? Sort of escape and go back and forth? And...
you had... I'm trying to remember now.
I can't remember what they did on mine.
You're trying to escape from a Star Destroyer at the beginning, and then you go off to Crate.
That's the whole film.
And then...
escape.
That's it.
And then you're like going through
it's a really slow ride. You escape from a Star Destroyer in slow motion. It's just amazing. No, the whole interactive thing though, they've said that if you stay at the hotel that's there, then that's going to be the interactive thing, right? Everyone that stays at the hotel will be given a role within the Star Wars universe, and all the windows are just screens that show space and stuff like that. And
cool.
Yeah, it sounds good.
Yeah, when that I think that's opening up 2022. I think it's got way off until they're opening out, but that's going to be in Florida.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's going to be the bigger one anyway.
That's
it's huge. Disney.
But they don't have all the same as this one's got, but just more, or not, or are they all going to be completely different?
It's the same.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same.
But they've got the
Batu, but they've got the hotel, and none of the other parks as yet have plans to do that.
What's Euro Disney getting?
Euro Disney's getting Batu as well.
Is it?
Yeah. I'm probably going to go to Euro Disney. I think Angela wants to go for her 40th birthday. So. And
Disneyland Paris has been in need of an upgrade for a long time.
I've never been.
I've never been. And I've experienced the two American parks, and Disneyland Paris is not patch on either of those. It's in fact, I had some American friends that came over this past week, and they were really excited to go to Disneyland Paris. And I'm like, don't get your hopes up. And like they went there and they were like, it's kind of okay, but it's exactly the same as what Disneyland was like 30 years ago.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, and that's what it was like when it was built, and it hasn't changed since then. You know, it looks out of date.
I've been to Disney World in Florida twice, a long time ago, but it was huge then. Yeah. And I was surprised at how small the LA one is in comparison. I thought it was going to be, just as big, and I was like, oh, it's small. But Disney World's huge. In fact, some of the parks that were there when I went apparently don't exist anymore. Because they had there's a guy, you can find him online, and there's something to do with like this like not a germ, but this disease started taking over parts of the park, and they're shut down.
There was a water park.
That's it.
The water.
Was it River Country or something?
Some sort of bacterial.
That's it. That's the one.
Some sort of bacteria just started growing in the water park, and they had to shut the whole thing down. And it's
now
been shut ever since.
Park. And so
it's still there, but it's all overgrown.
The video I posted recently, you can find it on YouTube, and like they did a night mission where they went into these places to like look around, and it's just been like taken over by all these creatures that just like started reproducing.
Wow. They evolved from the bacteria.
No, right, they mutated.
Like Swamp Thing.
Anyway, going off topic. So back to Galaxy's Edge. So what else can you tell us? So as you're walking around and there's the markets, and I suppose you can smell like different foods and stuff like that. Do you see any like Kowakian monkey lizards on like spits or anything like that?
Yes. Do you? You do have like animatronics of in fact there is like this place called Ronto Roasters where it's like it's almost like a food market.
Right.
And there's a droid turning some kind of creature on a big giant spit over a pod racer engine. With a big you can see it's got like heat, like looks like it's like shooting out heat from the pod racer engine. Pod racer engine, and you can smell the thing roasting as well. It's not real, but you can smell it.
But they put the smells in there.
That's really cool.
Excellent.
And you can like look into a kitchen to one of the sides, and there's all kinds of creatures all hanging around the place like a butcher's shop.
Right.
But it's all Star Wars creatures.
Excellent.
You go into like.
Did you make your own lightsaber?
I didn't. I saw some people doing it.
$200.
Yeah, exactly. Because I was like, I'm gonna go and watch this first, because you can go in there and watch people making the lightsabers.
They look good.
It's as an experience, it looks really good. They basically have these people all like sitting around at these consoles. And this guy comes out in the middle, and he's like, we're going to do something really amazing now, guys. Like, this is really special. Like, and then and he's like, first of all, I want you to just concentrate and focus. And then like this music kicks in, this like awesome like John Williams score, and the lights all go down. It's like, oh, this is great. And then he very carefully, he's like, no, you must choose your crystal, and like choose.
And people get their phone out to try and shine through, so they can get that black one. Right?
And all the different parts, and they put them together, and then they all light up their lightsabers at the same time. And as they do it, like, this music suddenly like bursts into life. There's I don't know if I want to spoil it actually, but there's one point I won't spoil it, but like there is a surprise that you don't expect.
I'm not going to make my own lightsaber because I'm not going to spend 200 quid.
Basically the lightsabers themselves not worth $200.
No, I've heard that.
You can if anything, I would say they're probably worth about $60 at the most, but they are unique. You can only get them there as from a collector's point of view. I would say, you wouldn't get them anywhere else.
For 200 quid, I want it to actually be a laser.
Yeah.
I want it to be a proper laser that comes out.
There's also a droid workshop as well.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
So you can make a droid, and they're
Like Build-A-Bear kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like Build-A-Bear. You just pick the certain parts, and there's two. You can either build an R2 droid or like a BB-8 style ball droid. But it's called like different colors and heads and stuff you can put on them. And
I want a 000.
Yeah. And they're radio controlled ones as well, like remote control ones.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. Again, like for $200, I don't want to control it. I want to go, hey, go and do this, and then it does it.
So when you're actually in Batu, how long do you think you need to spend in there, or can you spend? Is there a limit to the amount of time you can spend in there? How does it work?
No, the whole thing is enormous.
Yeah.
You could, if you wanted to, you could spend a whole day. I would like
14 acres, right?
What's that?
14 acres, isn't it?
Yes, it's huge. It's huge. I think it's the biggest section of the Disneyland park now. And
it's only bit I'll go to be fair.
No, there's a lot of good stuff at Disney. There's a lot of good stuff there. There's a roller coaster there that I absolutely love.
We went there first thing in the morning when we got in there.
Yeah.
And then we went again later on in the evening. Okay. Obviously, I was with my daughter. There's lots of other things just for her to see and do. So we didn't spend as long there as I would have liked. But there's enough detail in the place for you to keep noticing things. And there's loads of stuff that I missed. Like when you're in the market area, there's shops down there. Like there's one thing. It's called
hidden shop.
Doc Undar's Den of Antiquities, right? And this place is you walk in and like it's really tall up inside this place, and as you look up the wall, there's like loads of like helmets and weapons and stuff from like a collection, almost like a museum. Excellent. Like all on display all around the room, up around your head and all the way up to the ceiling. And there's even like busts, like heads of a wampa and a tauntaun.
You just spend hours in there just looking at stuff. All the things,
and the way that the shop is set out is like everything in the shop is like a replica of a piece of Star Wars history of something in the galaxy, you know. So here's a replica of Darth Vader's like cup, his favorite cup. There's a whole bunch of them.
How did he drink?
Obviously, like $50 each. But right in the middle of it is this dude who is Doc Undar, and he's an animatronic of the same species as Hammerhead.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
again, there's a comic book about him. So that explains who he is, and that he basically he sends people on missions to go and get him stuff for his shop. So basically everything in his shop is stolen, and he pays a high price for it so that he can sell it on. Right. It's almost like black market stuff.
Yeah. Right.
And there's a baby of
a baby Yoda.
No, not Yoda. Why has my mind gone blank? You know, Return of the Jedi, a Sarlacc.
There's
a Sarlacc.
A Sarlacc baby?
Yeah, there's a baby Sarlacc in a display cabinet that's like again animatronic, and it's moving around.
Excellent.
But it's like it's displayed so that it's like in this dirt, in this sand, and you can see the underneath of it, and
it's
all the way
look at it,
all the way down to see what it looks like underneath the surface.
Awesome.
Like almost like you're looking inside an ant's
nest.
Like a cut section. It's really cool.
Like an alien ant farm.
Yeah.
So it's just, I mean, it sounds amazing. It sounds like there's a lot of good stuff that you could just spend a lot of time walking around, even without going on the ride, just like looking at different things and just taking
to finish it off, what's the things you have to do when you go to it, would you say?
The things you have to do, obviously Smuggler's Run.
Yeah.
Green milk.
Green milk. Is that good?
Green milk's better than the blue milk. They did green milk and blue milk.
Did you try both?
I tried both, and I'm sad to say that the green milk tasted better than the blue milk.
Was it straight from the tin?
No, they didn't squeeze it out.
What does it taste like?
It's kind of fruity.
Okay.
They're both fruity drinks. I couldn't quite put my finger on what the green milk was, but it tasted damn good. They kind of taste like smoothies.
Did you get in your beer?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the blue milk definitely tastes like those refresher sweets, with the like fizzy stuff in the middle. The chewy, the chewy ones with the fizzy stuff in the middle. Yeah. They tasted just like that. But the green milk was better. And I mean, go through the market. There's loads of cool shops in there. The toys, the creatures shop is really cool as well. They've got like cuddly toys of baby tauntauns and wampas and all these stuff. But this new ride, which I haven't been on, it wasn't open when we were there.
The trailer just came out for it, didn't it?
Yeah. It doesn't officially open until the new year. It was supposed to open when the whole Galaxy's Edge opened, but the one in Florida, there was something wrong with it and they couldn't get it working.
Right.
The one in LA was working, but they wanted to open them both at the same time.
Right.
Or the Florida
Rise
one,
of the Resistance or something like that, is it?
Yeah. That's right. It's Rise of the Resistance.
Yeah.
Now, I only know this because this is going to...
source.
Well, a friend of mine, his parents work at the park. I'm not going to name drop who it is, okay? And they work on these rides.
Oh, no, that's a good job.
And they were gutted that they built this ride and it was ready to go, but they were like, we can't open it until the new year when the other one's ready. So it's been ready all this time. It's been working. It's like behind the scenes, just sitting there ready to go. Right, now, this ride, okay, is like unlike anything you've ever seen in any theme park before. It's apparently ginormous. There's 2 stages to it, or rather 3 stages. The first, and this is where I feel they've kind of taken their influence from that Secret Cinema experience.
Right. Okay.
Because you're basically going to join the Resistance and secretly get smuggled off the planet on a ship.
Cool.
So you go on a simulator, and again, like, it's like Star Tours. It takes off. You've got to like get through a blockade. However, you come across a Star Destroyer. They pull you in on a tractor beam, and then you get off that ship. You get boarded. And then you get off that ship, and you're on the Star Destroyer.
Right.
And then you get herded into like cells for them to get ready to interrogate you. So you get on these like carriers, these like people carriers, and it takes you like off supposedly to the detention cells. And Finn comes up on the monitor and he's like, we've infiltrated the ship and I'm going to take control of your people carrier. So we're going to help you escape. So it goes rogue and goes off down these different corridors where stormtroopers are shooting at you and they're trying to get you back. Kylo Ren gets involved and attacks you.
His saber comes through the ceiling or something. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. There's one point where you go into a bay which has full-size AT-ATs shooting at you, and
that's cool.
And it goes up and down in various corridors and different levels of this thing. It's absolutely ginormous, and you have to try and escape. And that's as much as I'm going to tell you about it, because there's
the only thing that I don't like about these things, right, is that they always make you into like the shittest Resistance person of them all. Like, because like Finn and all that lot, they'll be shooting the stormtroopers, but you're just like, oh no, like, you don't do anything. You're like, oh, I'm just on this ride and I can't take anyone out. It's like, come on, man. If I'm joining the Resistance, give me a gun.
You're the DAC of the Resistance.
Yeah, right. It's like he's gonna sit there. They're shooting. Yeah, someone else will deal with them. Don't worry. I'll just sit here and wait. Like, come on, give me a gun. Let me pick up one of their.
He wants to be the guy at the back, just watching it all happen.
I'm happy just watching.
I want them to give me one of their guns, and I can get out and join the Resistance. Like, you can be in the Resistance, shoot stormtroopers.
If it's like my experience on Battlefront 2, I'd literally get in the ship and get shot straight away, and then that's it. That's me out.
At least you died for the cause, Colin.
Yeah.
You know, you did kind of something.
Yeah, he did something.
Here lies Colin Coftree. He did something.
There is footage from this ride starting to leak on YouTube. They're not letting people film the whole thing,
right?
But they are like inviting guests to come along and test it.
Get the old buzz.
So there are a few videos out there if you want to look it up. By the looks of it, it's incredible.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to go and bloody go to this Batu now.
My only criticism of it is that the characters. There needs to be more characters there. You do see Chewbacca wandering around,
right,
and Rey as well. I didn't spot her, but apparently Rey walks through as well.
Right.
They will literally like walk from one end of it to another and then disappear. They don't stop.
Right.
So you have to like try and sort of like snap them quickly while they're.
So not like the characters in the Disney bit where you can have a photo with them and.
No, that's the thing. Because they want to
make it like they're doing something.
Yeah, when it makes
on their way somewhere.
Exactly, that's what they're trying to do. But there's not other creatures like wandering around.
I was going to say that would make it better if like an Ewok walks past or something.
Or Dewback. Dewback just goes past, you know.
That's
over there parked in the corner, you know.
Or gonk. Is there any gonk droids?
There aren't any gonk droids. The only droids that I saw there were some of the build your own droids that they were basically like showing off.
Right, yeah.
So there's a dude. There's like a droid wandering around and a guy obviously controlling it with a controller in his pocket. He's sort of like standing off to the side and pretending that the droid's doing his opportunity.
Because so where I live, we've got droids that deliver food to you, right? Yeah, real ones, right? Yeah. No joke. We've got real robots that I can put a thing in my app and it will come and bring me some food, right? So
to your house?
Yeah, to my house. I think we were going to order one today, but we went out instead.
What are they, drones?
Yeah.
It's a little white box with wheels. They got cameras built in, and you can order either takeaway or
you're shopping down the road.
They're on the path.
You see them everywhere. They drive up and down. You see them all over the streets. And they wait at the curb, and if there's any cars coming, and then they go. If there's people, they go around them. And when you order it, when it comes to your front door, it says "Good evening," and then you open it, you take your shopping or whatever, and it goes "Have a nice day," and closes, turns around, drives off.
Right? This is the first I've heard of this. I had no idea.
I'll send you a link to it later.
They live in the future, by the
way. They actually have those in California as well, because we got them. They came here last year. When I moved in, they just opened. It's called Starship, and they had them in California as well. And I'm kind of thinking, well, why not get something like that and do it up to look like a Star Wars droid and have them just driving around the park? Because all they are is they work on GPS. So they set a route for them. Like, you're going to, like, say, my address. It uses GPS and goes there. So in the park, you could say, go from base to, I don't know, the Falcon as an example, and it will just drive along and it will stop because there's people there. So it'll avoid people. And that would be a way of getting droids walking around the park. Do you know what I mean? Like, it would be quite a cool thing. It'd have to be quite small droids, but I don't understand why they wouldn't do that. Maybe down the line. But I mean, as I say, so I'm in Milton Keynes. If you come into Milton Keynes, you see them everywhere, especially where I am. Yeah. I'll send you a video of them later on.
Well, that's what.
Send one over here.
Really fun if they do that.
I'll send it.
Batu, yeah. So,
anyway.
Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you for telling us about that. How long have you got?
You got me till 7,
right.
So we've got another
let's talk
20
about
minutes.
Mandalorian.
Yeah, let's do it.
We've been on that was almost an hour on Gap. Maybe we should, maybe we could cut it into I don't know if you want to do that, so that we've got a Galaxy's Edge part of the podcast and whatever. Anyway, we just handle our admin live on air. You know?
So you tell me what you want, I ignore you, and then just put it out. Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah. So the Mandalorian. Okay, so we talked about the first episode, didn't we? And then we've been on hiatus for a while. So anyway, since then there's been 4 other episodes.
Crackers, only little ones though.
Yeah, they're only short, but you know what? I kind of think the time is working now for
me.
me.
Morsels, aren't they? I think they're kind of bite size, but I like it like that.
So do I. The way that my wife described it, and I agree, is in the 80s, if you were sitting there on a Saturday afternoon and the show came on, and this is what this is kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
I'm seeing a lot of people, without going into like detail of why, going, oh, the character wasn't advanced much in this episode or whatever. And I'm kind of thinking, but it doesn't have to be advanced constantly. It's not like, say, Game of Thrones, where there's an intricate plot and, there's a bit of subterfuge going over here and all that. Sometimes it is just like the gunslinger walks into town, shit goes down, he sorts it out, and then he goes. Yeah, and I'm like, I'm cool with that. I'm happy with that.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of something like Knight Rider or the A-Team.
The way that I describe it is, it reminds me of Kane and Kung Fu. It reminds me of Lone Wolf and Cub. Yeah. And it's just like, the Fistful of Dollars and all that, those kind of things, like the old westerns, and
it reminds me of Star Wars Rebels.
Well, yeah, there's obviously the Filoni.
But I mean, it has got bits of that, and it also reminds you of things like, obviously episode 4 is like Seven Samurai, but I like it like that. And sometimes you'll have an episode like, say, number 3, you've got quite a lot of info about the Mandalorian himself and a bit about their culture, and it kind of developed them a bit more, and you got a bit more in depth. That's cool. But every now and again, like episode 5, which you haven't seen yet, is a lot more of a, here's a small adventure. That's it. A little small fun adventure, and that's cool. And the people that I'm seeing not liking that, I'm like, it doesn't have to constantly be, deep. I don't need it to always be deep. I just want it to be entertaining.
I like it very shallow. That's my level.
Entertainment is good though, just because it is entertainment at the end of the day. Yeah, entertain me. As long as it's fun, I'm going to have a good time. Yeah. So anyway, so we'll go back to episode 2. Now I remember at the time, Colin, you said you weren't a big fan of that episode, and I really liked it.
Yeah.
Right? And now I can't remember how to pronounce the guy's name, but it's Rick Fuyakiwa. Fuyakiwa is the director of that one.
Don't ask me, man.
Anyway, now I quite liked that episode. It had a nice little nod to Indiana Jones in it, and also I kind of feel like the Mandalorian himself, they made him a bit of an Indiana Jones, because he's meant to be good, and he is good at what he does, but he ain't as great as they make out. And it's almost like, you're the best, and it's like, I think I got that reputation with a bit of luck, right? Because the amount of times he's been shot, if it wasn't for his armor, this dude is dead, right?
He keeps getting shot, man.
Right? Yeah. He gets his ass kicked, and he bumbles around loads, right? So it is a bit of an Indiana Jones thing there, right? But he kind of just gets out of situations.
Well, look, I mean, you're saying I wasn't sure if I liked it or not. I tell you what it was, right? I didn't know what the show was going to be, and the first episode still didn't really make it clear. And because of the difference between the first episode being almost the hour long, and so I was just a bit surprised by what it was. And to me, it's like a cartoon. This is what it reminds me of. And like I say, it is very simple storytelling and that. And I just wasn't expecting that. Right. So when I first saw episode 2, I was like,
it was a filler episode, didn't you?
Yeah, I thought, it's good. It was fun, but there wasn't anything to it apart from, he gets dragged around in the mud and all that kind of crap.
Well, and that was when you saw
progress.
Didn't progress the story. Now I've seen 5 episodes of it. I know what it is now, and it is that, and so now I'm appreciating it for what it was. But after I saw episode 2, one, I was a bit annoyed it was short, and then I was thinking, what is this then? what is this show supposed to be? Because it definitely wasn't what I thought it was going to be. It's really
think it was going to be more like what 1313 was meant to be, like in the seedy underworld.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be like proper bounty hunting. I thought it was going to be a bit darker than it is. I thought it was going to be, particularly because when that celebration, they showed us they showed the clip of him meeting the bloke that put him on the bounty with the and that's quite. It's talky and it's dark and it's it's probably like the most sort of gripping sort of bit of acting that's gone on in the entire show.
Yeah,
and that was the only bit I'd seen. I was like, okay, so that's what this show is, and then then it's nothing like that for the rest of the show.
Yeah, they kind of sold it as being a bit like a Rogue One.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Right. Yeah.
To be more like Rogue One. Yeah,
sort
that's
of.
exactly it, Matt. Well done. Congratulations.
So I mean,
it's the dark stuff that's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
You know, round the corner.
Yeah.
And
well, it is all around the corner, right?
Yeah.
Because the guild's here, the Mandalorians are here, and the Imperials are there. Just walk down the street. You can stop off at any of them, right?
I mean, what really, I guess the element that's really thrown me was just it's now basically Mandalorian looking after his baby.
Yeah.
And
which is where I say it's like the Lone Wolf and Cub.
Yeah, and it's
you watch those movies as well.
And when will he bloody learn not to leave it alone? Fuck's sake, every time.
Well, I did notice that he's not very good at this. And it's
he's not.
It's like, so now we're going to jump ahead a little bit because of Wax Episode 3, but it's not that they're coming after you. Yeah, they are, but they want the baby.
Yeah,
right?
and he keeps
leaving it alone. They're going for the baby.
Episode 5, he leaves it again.
I'm not. Oh, right. Okay.
Like totally on its own.
He leaves it every episode somewhere.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. He's a little bit bumpy.
But this baby's got force powers, for crying out loud. It can handle itself.
It can, but it doesn't know that. It kind of done it through instinct. So this is going back to episode 2 now. So one of the advancements was you got to see the baby use the force. The other thing in episode 2, which was damn awesome, was you saw his rifle, which was so cool. That was so cool. Just blowing Jawas away and it disintegrate. And also, actually, first he did it on Trandoshan, and when he did that, so he gets in the fight with the 3 Trandoshans, and he runs away and he just disintegrates him. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. And I'm like, okay, no disintegrations. That's where that comes from. But then, like, you know, I loved getting to see the Sandcrawler, because we've never really had a look at the Sandcrawler like that. You know, so you got to see him climbing up, you get to see it all opening up. Eventually, we got to see inside it. I loved how, you know, he was just flinging Jawas off, and they're like, falling to their death. That was funny. And then obviously he gets to the top, and they're all waiting there at the top, and it's like, shoot him. But then something pointed out, right? And I saw this on another podcast I was watching, and I was like, that's a good point. He's like blowing Jawa away, right? And then he gets onto there, climbs up to the top, and they could have killed him, but they didn't. They just stunned him, right? So maybe Jawas just don't kill people. Maybe that's part of their culture. Because remember, like at the point where he goes, "Those Jawas have destroyed my ship," and Nick Nolte goes, "Jawas steal, they don't destroy." And I was like, oh, so you know, maybe we learned a little bit about Jawas there that we didn't know about. Like maybe that's how they are. Like they don't kill. That's how their culture is. So we got a little look into them a bit. And then
maybe they're just all about turning a profit. They didn't.
Yeah.
They don't really give a crap about each other even.
But then they are tribal. You see them in their tribe and he gets to negotiate, which I did love that bit where he's just like go to burn. Was like no. And obviously they send him on his quest. He's always got to have like the hero's quest. He goes off this Mudhorn, which I felt bad for the Mudhorn, because then I was like, well, Jawas are dicks, because that's just looking after its baby, like its egg, and they want to kill it so they can eat its egg, right? Again, this is where the Mandalorian would have just been obliterated if it wasn't for Baby Yoda there. And in fact, it was almost like he gave up. He took his vibro blade out and just went and put his head down. I was like, okay, you know, what's going to happen? And then obviously, that's when Baby Yoda was like, hold on a minute, this guy's looking after me, so I'm going to save him. And then he walked around it and was like, oh, that's where your jugular is, and then stabbed it with a vibro blade. Matt, did you like episode 2 when you watched it? How did you feel about it?
It was really fun. I did. I like Colin. I was initially frustrated at the fact that it wasn't moving the storyline along about Baby Yoda. It's like, because I wanted to know immediately, like, okay, what's going to happen next?
Yeah, right.
You know, with the baby, like, what's it all about? And then it kind of went off on this side quest, which is very Filoni.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, come on, get to the point. We know where we need to end up. Why are we still on this planet with these seemingly insignificant characters? That is a minor frustration. Overall, I love the vibe of it, the fun of it, and it rolled along at a really great pace as well.
And from a Western point of view, it was like, you know, he's just picked up straight after that. He's walking back. You got to see a little bit of when he was about to be attacked by the Trandoshans. He noticed the little creatures disappear, and then he stopped. And you're like, okay, because at this point he still kind of came across as a bit of a badass, right? Mm-hmm. And then like they jumped down, and 3 Trandoshans is that's nothing to be turning your nose up at. Like he kicked their asses, like he fought them. He did get hit again, but and then the bit on the Jawa Sandcrawler, you had the bit where they drove it towards the rocks, which was the Indiana Jones 3 bit, yeah. But it also was like in a Western, they're getting on a train, like doing, like when there's a train hurtling along and they're trying to climb onto it. And then, I mean, I always say that the ending of The Mandalorian reminds me, I don't know if either of you guys ever saw it, a program back in like late 70s, early 80s called High Chaparral. And the ending of it, so it was like a Bonanza kind of thing. Yeah, it was a Western. Yeah. But the ending of it was just like The Mandalorian, where you had all the artwork come up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, which they are.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
I mean, when I went into watching The Mandalorian, I had avoided looking at anything about it beforehand, other than obviously I knew that it was about Mandalorian. I'd seen a few pictures of like Carl Weathers and people like that. But what I wanted from it was a Western. And so I was quite happy getting all of that. I was like, okay, cool. This is what I want. All right. So then we go into episode 3. Now, episode 3 so far has been my favourite episode of all.
Yeah. Well, it has all of the good stuff, doesn't it?
It has a lot of good stuff.
It moves the storyline along. You kind of figure out what's going. You find out about what the Mandalorians are all about.
Yeah.
You get to see one of the most brutal deaths in Star Wars ever. Which is that stormtrooper being cooked inside his armor.
Yeah, that's cool.
And he's screaming. Like,
that is cool.
Yeah. And so, okay, so in that one, so obviously Mando, what happens? He comes back. We're all wondering, what's he going to do at the end of episode 2? Because he'd started to sort of look at Baby Yoda, and you're like, because I mean, Pedro Pascal gets a lot across. Considering you can't see his face, he gets a lot of emotion across in the way he acts.
Yeah.
And so you think, is he gonna? He won't turn him in. He comes back, he's like, yep, turning him in. You're like, oh, okay. Now, for me, and there is a point further on where I'm not liking what they're doing in some ways, but I like him when he's a little bit more ruthless, just because. No, just because we've got 8 episodes in this season. I like the slow pace of it, right? And I don't necessarily want him to be too humanized and too your friendly neighborhood Mando straight away. He's been working as a bounty hunter, and he's brought up in the warrior culture, and I want him to keep quite a big element of that in his personality.
Yeah.
And that can over time start to soften, but I don't want it to be now like, oh yeah, straight away, oh okay, he's a big softy, really kind, golden hearted, and that can happen over time, and you can see little elements of it. But I like the ruthless, like, I'm a bounty hunter, I'm here to make money, all that. So you see him hand over Baby Yoda to Werner Herzog and all that, and then as Baby Yoda's going away, as he gets taken away, he's like crying and looking back at him. He kind of goes, so what are you gonna do with him? And Werner Herzog's like, that's none of your business. Like, this is not very professional of you, like, considering you're meant to be the best and all this kind of stuff.
Yes.
And then he gives him his ice cream maker full of Beskar, and so he then takes it and he's off, and he goes back to the Mandos. So this was a real shitter for people like me that buy Black Series figures, because I knew that his armor was going to change. But 3 episodes in, and they give him his new armor. I just bought the one with the old armor, right?
I knew he was going to, because I was surprised that he was wearing the old armor at the beginning. I thought he wore his new one straight away.
No, well, actually, in the first episode, there's a bit where they fucked up. So there's a scene where he's flying onto the planet.
He's got a shiny bit,
and he's got the shoulder pad before he gets the shoulder pad. And you're like, because I saw it and I was like, hold on a minute, and then he got his shoulder pad. I was like, but you already had it. So I thought what was going to happen after he got that shoulder pad, I thought as the series went on, he was going to get another piece as it carries on. I was like, oh, I'm finished. You have this armor, but no. Episode 3, you go have some new armor because you brought this Beskar in. But
I mean, he looks like Django with that one.
He doesn't. It's a little bit
shiny, isn't he?
It's very shiny, yeah. And none of the others have this like shiny look to them. So he walks into the Mandalorian, was it like their guild or whatever?
Yeah.
And they're all sort of like looking at him carrying this case in, like giving him a bit of like, what's this he's got? And as he walks in, you see Paz Vizsla. He's the big, the bulky one. He's a heavy one, and he's actually voiced by Jon Favreau. And are you running out of time?
Yeah.
Just
yeah, that's all right.
No, it's fine. When you need, goes to the armorer, and he sort of like says, "Oh, I've got this," and they kind of go, "Oh, he's been dealing with the Empire, like." They basically destroyed our people. So obviously, like the Empire betrayed the Mandalorians after all the events of the Rebels and Clone Wars. And so he gets into a bit of a ruckus with the heavy one, who tries to pull his helmet off, and then they have a little fight, and she just sort of sits back and goes, "Go on then," and lets him do it, and then she kind of stops. Yeah, exactly. And she stops and she kind of says, "Have you ever taken off your helmet?" And he's like, "No." And she's like, "Has anyone ever taken it off for you?" He's like, "No." She goes, "No one chooses this life, so this is the way." Now we get our new catchphrase. Yeah. I have spoken. Yeah. This is the way. And and they all go.
It ended that whole conflict very quickly.
That was it.
Didn't it? It's like,
I
suppose so.
Mandalorian way. Right? So there you go, and they all sit down and they're all friends again, and she makes his arm, and then we get like a little montage again, which goes back to him as a kid, and then the last thing you see, he gets put into this thing, and then you see the battle droid open it up and point his gun at him, and then it ends. And in that bit as well, see now, I want it to be a Mandalorian that saved him, and that's why he's with them. Other people going, maybe it's Obi-Wan, and I'm like, what? As much as like I know they're doing a series, but why? Like, what would that have to do with anything?
It's
like, why would
Mandalorian?
I know, Obi-Wan likes fobbing kids off on people. It's like, I've saved this kid. Hey, you take him. Right?
Random uncle.
Right. So then after that, he goes back into the guild. Is this right? Am I getting this right? It's been a while now since I've watched it. Huh?
I've only seen it once. You've seen it how many times?
I've watched it 7 times. So yeah, he goes back into the guild. They all hate him because he's got his new armor, and Carl Weathers like, they hate you. You're a legend and all that, and they're all like checking him out and all this kind of stuff. And then he sort of tells him to have some time off, and he says, "I want another job." And he's like, "I can take you to the Twi'lek, they like some kind of like Twi'lek baths, massage baths or whatever." And like, "Yeah, give me a job." And so he wants to take another job. And then as he gets up, he asks him again, like, what are they going to do with the kid? And again, it's reiterated, we're bounty hunters. We do our job. That's it. Yeah. So he can't leave it be. And he gets in his ship. He's about to go, but he sees the little ball. There's a little ball that was on the controls that the baby was playing with at the beginning. And right at the beginning, he'd been like, "Don't touch that," But he sees it lying there, and you can see again the emotion. He feels bad, and he picks it up, and he turns off the ship, and you see him go back. So he goes up to the door, knocks the door. The robot comes up, and he's like, breaks it off. He's done this before, and he goes around the corner. Stormy's come out. He set off something to detonate. There's the explosion, and then he goes in. And now you see him being a badass, right? Now, bear in mind, stormtroopers can't hit shit. Another thing I should point out is that he was given a weapon that was made for him called Singing Bird.
That's cool, that thing.
Yeah.
Don't use this up because they're very rare. So just like hold on to it until you need it. Okay, so in the next scene, we know that's getting used. So he goes in and he's like taking out stormtroopers left, right, and center. And then he busts into the room and there's Baby Yoda, and you see the cloner, the doctor. He's got the cloning symbol on his arm.
Oh, right, okay. So that confirms that they're trying to clone the baby.
Yeah,
I didn't twig that.
Yeah, so on Camino, he's got the Camino cloning.
That's why he could be dead or alive. It didn't really matter.
Right, gotcha.
But he
not disintegrated.
He starts begging. Don't disintegrate because then they can't do anything. But he starts begging, but not for his own life, but for the baby's life. And so this is a point where it's like, oh, he's saying that, don't hurt it. He goes, I saved its life. Sorry, going back again, just before Mando went in, he used his gun and his helmet to sort of see like Predator through the wall, and he heard telling the guy, just get it done. I can't promise your safety. So at this point, the doctor could be in danger too. So there's an interrogation droid in there for some reason. So Mando kills that. It's like, what are they going to do with that? And he picks up the baby, and when the doctor looks away, he's off, right? So it takes out more stormtroopers. He has some cool bits where he's sitting down, he uses his rope, pulls on in, and sticks a blade through his back, and he got the one where he uses the flamethrower and he sets them on fire, which is just mean. And then he ends up in a room where there's 4 of them. And, he could take out 4 stormtroopers, but no. This time he sits down and he uses his new weapon, which goes and kills all the stormtroopers. Now, if we go further down in the episode, I bet he wishes he had that weapon then. But he didn't think ahead, right? Because he's not the kind of hero that's one step ahead of people. He's the kind of hero that shit happens to, and he just luckily gets out of it.
Yeah, he wins it.
Right, basically. So he gets out of here, gets on his ship, or is going towards his ship, and you see the guild, and their trackers start bleeping away. And so the next thing, he's walking down the street.
It's very John Wick when the assassins get the notification on their phone.
That's it. And you see his hand hovering over his gun as he's walking down the street, because he's noticing that people are starting to pay attention to him and they're following him. And then as he gets to the ship, there's Carl Weathers. What's his name? Grief Cargo or something like that. Standing in front of it going, Mando! And it's like, you're not going back to your ship. Give me the baby.
You son of a bitch.
Yeah. What CIA got you pushing too many pencils? And so he has this round all these bounty hunters. One thing that I did notice, actually, and when you see them in the guild or bounty hunters, there's a couple of them. There's a blonde girl's wearing red armor, and you see shots. No, not Sabine, but you see shots from behind her arm and stuff like that quite a few times throughout the episode. And there's a couple of others, like there's a Zabrak there, and a few others like that who look particularly good. And then you've got the other ones that just wear trousers and shirts. So those ones are dead. And I wonder if these other ones, because that's a lot of effort to put into costumes, that's extra cost and stuff like that. I wonder if these are ones we're going to see as the show goes on.
Well, they might be like the Mandos, the 501st were in it. Maybe they got some of the Mandos being in it as well.
I thought they did, but they didn't. Oh. So, yeah. So all the Stormtroopers are 501st Legion in this. Yeah. So he's surrounded by them all. And, Carl says, I'm your last hope. So he's like, how do I know I can trust you? He goes, well, you don't. So he plays them a little bit. So he walks over to this little transport thing with a droid, acts like he's going to put the baby down. And then he pops his gun out like a gunslinger and shoots some dude. Then he does this wicked spin and lands inside it. Now, this is, again, like one of the train scenes you'd get in a Western where they're like ducked down and people are shooting at them, Yeah. And he's popping up and he's quite good here as well. He's taking guys off,
Proper Wild West shoot
out. Yeah, he's popping guys off. And then you see Grief's like hidden behind a wall, and he shoots the droid that's controlling the vehicle, and it explodes. And now he's stopped in a corner and he can't go anywhere. And so he pulls out his disintegrator gun and he disintegrates a few people. And Grief's like, "That's a good weapon you got there." And then he kind of says, "But it won't do you any good because there's loads of us, so you're screwed." And he's like, "How about he kind of says, let me go to my show." He goes, "How about we take the baby and we can kill you?" And he has a couple of guys creeping up on him. And at this point, in old canon, in old legends, they sort of hinted that Boba Fett's visor allowed him to see 360. And I thought that might be the case here because he has guys creeping up behind him. He's not looking that way, and he just kicks these barrels off and turns around and shoots them. But everyone starts shooting, and Mando kind of leans over the baby and looks at him, and he looks back at him, and you can see this is oh shit, we're done. And just that moment, you see a rocket go flying over his head. And it's almost like he's like, huh? And all of a sudden, this bit made me squeal like a little girl. All these Mandalorians with their jetpacks come flying over the top there, just shooting motherfuckers up, right? And they all come in. and he sees the heavy Paz Vizsla there that he's had conflict with before, and he goes, you're gonna have to move. You guys are gonna have to move again because you can't stay here. And they'd also mentioned that because of how they are, they have to leave one at a time so people don't see all the Mandalorians. It's too late now because they're everywhere, so they've got to get out of there. And Paz just turns to him and goes, "This is the way." And you're like, "Yeah, man, this is the
way." so you like this episode, Jay? Is what I'm getting.
I like this episode.
Yeah.
But they're just taking everyone out, and as he makes it to his ship, you see the carnage going on behind him. But Carl Weathers is not a man to be trifled with, and he got onto the ship before Mando. So Mando's in there, and he sneaks down, and he's like, "Drop it, Mando." He's behind him, pointing his gun at him. Mandalorian turns around, and in a very unsubtle way, because you see him move his wrist thing, which, Greef must be aware of it. He pulls the lever on the carbonite thing, so all this smoke comes out, and Greef's like, can't see him, and then Mando shoots him dead in the chest. But Greef has shown him earlier on that he had Beskar there, and he shot him right in the Beskar, and everyone's thinking, it was on purpose. So Greef falls out.
Bible in the front pocket trick.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. That's it. Which again is something you see in westerns, right?
Yeah.
And Mando puts his gun back in his holster, gets in the ship, takes off, and then you see Carl Weathers lying there, and he gets up and he pulls out the Beskar because he has to show the viewer what was there. He's like, "Oh, that was lucky," and as he flies off, you just see Mandalorians like shooting up the place and everything, and he flies off. And that was a damn good episode, that one.
It was.
That was episode 3. Now.
So why don't we do 4 and 5 on the next episode and let Matt go?
I think that's probably a good idea because I did.
Yeah, because I got bounced.
4. All right. Well, it was great having you on the show this week, Matt. Thank you so much for telling us all about Galaxy's Edge.
No problem. I've been itching to get on this and speak to you guys about it.
Come back on, man. Come back on another time. If you can't make it around to cons, we can do a Skype where we have all of us on. So
3-way Skype.
Come on next week.
Sweet.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
All right. Just before you go, what was your podcast again?
Straight Outta Popcorn, like Straight Outta Compton, but Straight Outta Popcorn.
There you go. And you can find that on iTunes and everywhere. Yep.
Yeah.
Check it out.
And you can find us on Force Convert. No, you can't. What are we? Star Wars
Convo on Instagram. We're at Star Wars Conversation. We're the original group. It's on Facebook. We're on Twitter. We're on iTunes. We're on everywhere you can find podcasts. We're on the TaylorNetwork of podcasts. And we're wrapping this up quick now, so we're not going to go into that. There's loads of good stuff on there.
Yeah, loads of good stuff.
And that's it. So until next time.
Punch it, Chewie.
This is the way.
All right.
Spoken.
Cool. Right, we're out. I'm stopping recording.